by contributions. At this time, we'll pass the basket. And this is a weekly STEP meeting. Our format is as follows. The speaker is asked to talk for 25 to 30 minutes on the STEP of that week, followed by discussion or questions until 7. You can find these weekly meetings on our YouTube page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share. That brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting on this day, December 12th, 2022, in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, at the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and STEP group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight's speaker is Tom, and he's going to be sharing his experience, strength, and hope on Step 1. Please help me welcome Tom.
Hi, everybody. Imagine my embarrassment for being late. I'm the speaker. But I'm here. I made it. And I want to thank everyone for being here so I could be here. Again, my name is Tom Paskowitz. I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is September 18th, 2000 something. Let's see. I have a home group. Actually, I have two home groups, which is illegal, but I only vote in one. But I have two home groups. One is my regular home group, and another is a big book study group, because if you don't know what the first 164 pages are telling you, then how you're supposed to stay sober. I do have a sponsor. I use him regularly. He's kind of weird, which fits in perfect with me, because I'm a little bit off the wall, as you will find out. And I'm here to talk mainly about Step 1. I do belong in this seat. I am an alcoholic. I have partaken in both liquid and solid alcohol for many years. My first sobriety date was May 26, 1996. I maintained sobriety for 20 years. But we're on Step 1. Guess what I forgot? Step 1. They say it's the only step that you have to do perfectly. I say it's the only step you have to know perfectly. If you don't know it perfectly, then how are you supposed to do it perfectly? For many years, well, actually for 6 months it was, when I worked with my sponsor, he made me say this every time I spoke, which, not that when he made me say something before I spoke, I never spoke. But he said, my name's Tom Paskowitz, I'm an alcoholic. I suffer from mental obsession, which ensures that I am powerless over taking that first drink. And I suffer from a physical allergy, which makes me powerless over alcohol after I take that first drink. So that all comes from, if you haven't read it yet, I suggest maybe you read the doctor's opinion. That comes from the doctor's opinion in our big book. Dr. Silkworth discovered the problem. Like myself, once I picked up that first drink, I could not stop. And this started at an early age. Just to say, my 7th grade locker was a bar, not a place for your books. So, and that was a continuation from that moment on until I got sober way back when. My mental obsession, this is where spirituality comes in for me. I'm not a bright light person, and I'm not supposed to get up that step, but the mental obsession is, my sponsor said to me one day, he said, when was the last time you thought of a drink? And I couldn't remember. And it just occurred to me, I couldn't remember when I even thought of my last drink. And I got chills. I was like, well, wow, because that's all I ever thought about was drinking, morning, noon, night. You know, I got up in the morning, drank, went to school, drank all during school. I mean, and forever. I bought my own business, therefore I was my own boss, therefore I couldn't fire myself for being drunk on the job. I just had a good wife that took care of everything. God bless her soul. Um, so when I came in, we did the doctor's opinion. Now, yeah, the room was full of geriatrics. It was all geriatrics, and I'm this young kid, and I'm like, what am I gonna learn from all these old people? And I was petrified, to be totally honest with you. I was petrified to come to my first AA meeting, and I'm thinking, they're gonna talk about hemorrhoids and prostates and stuff that you can't associate with because they're all geriatric old farts, which I now have achieved a geriatric old fart. Thank you, God, and thank you, AA, for allowing me the privilege to be this old. And the first thing he said to me, my sponsor, that very first meeting, I left the meeting, he says, "Do you have a sponsor?" And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no clue what you all just said in your foreign language in there. And I said no, and he said, "Good, I'm your sponsor. Go clean the coffee, empty the ashtray, sweep the floors, vacuum, wipe the tables down, and mop." I'm like, what? So I did it. I don't know why I did it. I did it. And I got to talking to the other people that were doing it. Now imagine that. There's a reason for it. And we had something in common. And the fact that we had something in common was why I came back. I didn't feel like, like you too? You're like that too? You think that way? So we started on step one. And the doctor says it pretty well in here. We're powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. I want to read something. I bought this, I can quote it, but I can't quote it. I don't want to quote it because I don't want to mess it up. If you're interested, it's on page 39, more about alcoholism. It says, "We learned we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. Our coin say, 'To thine own self be true.'" And what does that mean? That means we had to concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. To thine own self be true. I knew I was an alcoholic, but I didn't want to concede that I was an alcoholic. It says, this is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe, has to be smashed. Now, smashed is a pretty big darn word. Smashed. It doesn't have to be discarded. It doesn't have to be thrown out. It has to be smashed. We're not like other people. I'm not like anybody else that I know that's not in the program that can have one or beer or a half a glass of wine or half a cocktail. I'm not that person. I'm sorry, I can have the whole bottle, but not just the half a drink. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers. So, here we go. Being taught that I'm a real alcoholic and then trying to believe that I'm a real alcoholic. I knew I was a real alcoholic. People don't drink like me that are normal. Of course, my friends didn't drink like me until much later on. Some of them are there in the program now, but the fact of the matter was that I had no control over alcohol when I started from a very young age. We lived in this house. My sponsor, says that I was born with a silver-plated spoon in my mouth, and we had a lower level that had bars and all that crap, all that stuff that means nothing. But it was always stocked for when my parents had parties. So they never knew I was down there drinking when I was however young. They never counted the empty beer bottles. They just went and got more, or in those days, I could just order from the local liquor store, and put it on the charge, and they'd deliver it. My parents never looked at the bills. They just paid the bills and away they went. So if I wanted a fifth of something or a case of beer or whatever, I'd order it, and they'd drop it off at the house, and I'd sign for it, and away we went, and there was no problem. No one ever knew. It was great. Or I thought it was anyway. But my mental obsession, I'm not sure when that kicked in. I know the physical part, the allergy, where once I picked up a drink, I picked up another, and another, and another, and I wasn't happy until I was falling flat face in the mud, or being dragged home by my friends and left in the front door, and they rang the doorbell and took off running, these kind of things. But when that mental obsession occurred, I don't know. It just came along with the disease. And when it struck, it was horrifying. It says, following that in here, it talks about our incomprehensible demoralization, acts of. Yes, I'm guilty of those. They're horrible, the things I did. No more horrible than anything you guys did, but it's horrible to think about those things. But then again, we have steps to get rid of that horror. Because I promised to say, that we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it, because our past is the only way we can help another alcoholic. If we don't speak language to them that they understand, they're never going to recover. But, so when that obsession occurred, I was married, shortly married, and I had my business, and it was extremely difficult to overcome. It was a night, day, morning, get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, drink while I thought about drinking constantly. I could not get it out of my mind. And of course, I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? I know I'm an alcoholic. I drink like an alcoholic, but I knew nothing about this obsession part of our disease. I knew nothing that something in my brain would control me to the point where the only thing I could think about was alcohol. The only thing I cared about was alcohol. So I did like any good alcoholic. I drank, nearly to death. And when I decided to go into recovery was when it was all explained to me. And once it was explained to me, once I understood and I knew what step one was, I could practice step one perfectly. I could do it because I understood it. Not understanding it didn't make an entirely large amount of sense. I'm powerless over alcohol. My life has become unmanageable. I have a business. I have houses. I have boats, cars. How is my life unmanageable? Well, if you just sit back for a moment, if I sit back for a moment and think about what I thought about, all I thought about was alcohol. And anything and everything that got me what I had at that moment was gone. That was not part of my thinking process. My unmanageability came with my obsession with alcohol. I didn't care, I had to mow the yard, well, shit. I had to do this, I had to do that, you had to do normal people things. But that was all overtaken by the obsession to drink. So after learning all of this, I was capable of saying, okay, here's a bad thought. This is going to lead me down the wrong path. It's going to make me do the one thing that I don't ever want to do again in my life is take that first drink, because the second one doesn't matter. It's the first one that matters. And I battled with that obsession till that very day that my sponsor said, "When was the last time you had a drink?" And I thought of a drink, and I couldn't remember. Your ego sure reminds me, it was during football season when he asked me that. He was we were actually having, it might have been Super Bowl party at my house, I don't know. But he had asked me that, and you know, it was like chills, it was everything. It was like, wow, maybe, just maybe there's hope for me. You know, hope is my favorite spiritual term in the program. Hope got me here. Hope gets us all here, in my belief. You know, there's hope that my life will be better. Every day today, there's hope that my life will be better. What is better? Is it, I don't know, better to me is I'll be able to help more people. I'll pay my bills on time. I'll continue to have a roof over my head. I won't any longer sleep in a car underneath a bridge in Bay City, Michigan. You know, that's the kind of thing that's hope for me today. That I will have friends that care about me. I can be kind to other people. Wow, that's a new one. You know, I was always a rude individual because I, you know, get the hell out of my way and eat alcohol. But I can be kind to somebody and you know, like, oh, this lady, she's got 4 things. Go ahead and line, you know, go in front of me at the grocery store. I got 50 things. You know, I can do that today, where before I wouldn't give a rat's ass. I just wanted to get out there so I could get to my car, because underneath the seat of my car, where the cops will never find it, is the bottle of the 5th of vodka, you know, because the cops won't look under the seat. Well, by the way, they do look under the seat. Just want to let you know I had that experience. And then they put government jewelry on you after that, and that's no fun. But that's in my past, and I want it to stay in my past. And that's why I want to understand step 1, and I want to practice step 1 on a daily basis. You know, sometimes things like this can be forgotten. You know, as we move along in sobriety, we get up, we've gone through our steps, we go do. We're doing meetings, we're doing service work. Thank God for service work. Coffee maker's the best position ever, because you get to talk to everybody who's coming in. Well, besides being a greeter, which Nick is the best greeter there ever was. In fact, when I moved here, Nick was the first person to say hello to me at an AA meeting. And that was at
Percy?
No.
Isidor's?
No, keep going. I had a brain injury. They dropped a
Telford?
refrigerator on my head. I guess work wanted to see what happened if they dropped a refrigerator on someone's head. So they thought it was funny. I don't, but I guess they got some good laughs out of it. Round tables.
Oh, Zion.
Zion, thank
Yeah,
you, little
Telford,
Zion.
Telford.
Oh my God. And you know, I came in the door, and Nick was the greeter. Nick is always a greeter, and you know, shook my hand, and instead of just saying, "Hi, I'm Nick, welcome," he said, "Hi, I'm Nick." Yeah, and I said, "Hi, Nick, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you." And he started talking to me, and you know, like talk to me, and then didn't greet anybody else. And I'm like, "Wow, this is pretty cool," you know. Because it was my first Pennsylvania AA meeting, and if you've gone to meetings in different states, you know how colloquial they are. They're all a little bit different in how they do things, and so I talked to Nick until the meeting started, and that's how I got to know Nick. That's how I got to respect Nick, I should say, was that he took the time out to make sure I was comfortable when I came into that meeting. Let's see, I know I got more time. Oh, close to enough time. But step 1, yes, we have to do it perfectly, as they say, but we have to know it before we can do it perfectly. The doctor's opinion is part of it. It tells us what we are and what we have. And once we believe in what we are and what we have, we can actually, to thine own self be true, admit without reservation that we're alcoholics. And if I admit that I'm an alcoholic with reservations, then I'm going to reserve the right to drink again. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, please limit your sharing to 3 minutes. Please keep your shares related to the step, if possible. If you feel like drinking or if you had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. We ask that you refrain from the use of profanity. We are in a church and on a spiritual journey. And we'll now open the floor up for personal sharing.